Okay. So we're gonna get into the pod.
Oh, we're not even shouting out like where the fuck we been?
Where we been? We've been,
What do
dude.
you mean? We haven't recorded a pod in like 3 weeks, bro.
Yeah, I mean, from the people that don't keep up with my Instagram, I've been to like Brazil, Cancun. Last week was Amsterdam. So yeah, and I've been around. I've been busy. What about you, Mike?
Damn, bro. Racking up those sky miles.
Mileage.
Not I was I was in NOLA, New Orleans.
New
I was
Orleans.
a I was a groomsman in one of my buddy's weddings, one of the most dangerous cities in the world. Always travel with a group. Don't let anyone put anything in your drink. You know what I'm saying?
Are you trying to say it's the most or just one of them?
There's a lot of murders there.
Okay.
I don't know if it's the most, but it's definitely one of the most dangerous cities in the world.
Yeah.
I think Chicago is like
Yeah.
the
I was.
murder capital of the
Yeah.
US. I think Caracas, Venezuela is the murder capital of the world
Yeah. No,
per
I was
square
gonna
feet.
say Chicago is like number one on the list on that spectrum. Shit.
And then the next
I don't know
weekend
if
I
that's
went
a
to
good
Las
thing.
Vegas.
Okay.
And then the
Okay.
next week, speaking of dangerous, I went to Las Vegas. But we just went to the Patriots Raiders game. Unfortunately, the Patriots lost, but I won my bets. I went 10 for 11, and the bet that didn't hit pushed. So it didn't count towards my parlays. So I won a decent chunk
So
of
the real
change.
question is, did you bet on the KSI fight?
Hell no. I wouldn't bet on a YouTuber boxing.
Well, not him in general, just like on that. You could have done it on his opponent.
No, to be honest, I literally only bet because I was in Vegas. I
Yeah,
used to bet a lot in college and I would always lose and I would be in the hole. As a broke college kid, being in the hole is like the worst feeling ever.
because
So
I don't remember if it was that same weekend. Because I feel like it was kind of that same weekend because there was other shit going on that time you were over there.
yeah, I mean it very well could have. There's just so many places that things can happen when you're there that it's like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean they have those areas where it's just like straight just sports bettings.
No, yeah,
Yeah,
every hotel has a casino and every casino has a sports book.
yeah,
The thing is that we didn't realize is not every hotel has the same sports book, right?
yeah.
So we hit a Bet MGM and then we went to another hotel where my dad wanted to cash out his bet, but it was a different sports book. It wasn't a Bet MGM, so it was like he couldn't even just go to another hotel,
Okay.
which if you've ever driven on the strip in Vegas, it's not fun. It's not as bad as downtown LA, don't get me wrong, but
Yeah, downtown LA is the worst, dude. It's Gotham down there, dude.
Gotham, bro. No, that's New York City. All the trains and all that
Yeah.
garbage. It's just straight garbage all over the
Any
place.
any real city is pretty bad, honestly. Gotta be always
Nah,
watching your
some
back.
some are better than others. Some are better than others.
Yeah, true that, true that. So we're gonna get
All
into the
right.
pod.
Well, seems like we remember how to speak. So I say we kick it off.
I did forget.
Loki. All right. What's going on, everyone? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Unracked podcast. We're helping gym rats of all levels to enhance their fitness and other aspects of their lives through conversation and firsthand experiences. We're your hosts. I'm Mike Gersh.
And I'm Josh Angel.
In our last episode, we finished up our series where we're taking a deeper dive into specific muscle groups. Last week, well, not last week, more like last month, we talked about
Yeah, yeah.
the many muscles that make up the core and abs. In today's episode, very fitting to how busy we both have been, we want to dive deeper into working out as a busy professional, which can mean a lot of things. Probably main two, my guess would be work and school.
Yeah.
So
That's the only
there,
reason to skip stuff, really, unless you're, you know, I would say vacation if you're like a travel person, that's gonna keep you busy too. But I feel like we kind of talked about that on our vacation thing. So I mean, this is mostly gonna be focused on work and schooling for sure.
exactly. And I mean, there's some people, to your point, that travel a lot for work. But I will play devil's advocate to what you just said. Um, the point of today's episode is yes, there are valid reasons to skip the gym. right? But part of what we want to convey today is exercise can take place really anywhere. It doesn't have to just be the gym. So that's something that through our tips today, you're going to be able to make sure you have a successful week and you really stack those chips to win the week, win the month, and then make those gains, whatever your goals may be. You're constantly working towards them as opposed to floundering, staying in the same spot, or deterring yourself and getting further away from your goals. So, to jump into it, tip number one, this is something that I actually used to not do. Like, I was very guilty of this. And that's prioritize your own health.
Mm.
So, this is something that, as busy professionals, personally, listen, I work in sales, man. So, like, my whole job is setting meetings and then following up those meetings and then pushing deals along and constantly just moving. There's never a dull moment in my day unless I'm like taking like a mental break or something, right? So that's something that I used to prioritize meetings over food, which big no-no. As we know, the nutrition side of gains is huge, right? Um for you, Josh, like do you get, because you work in a pharmacy, you're a farm tech, right? So
Yeah.
at your job, is it more like constantly busy, or are there like busy times where you get like a rush or something like that?
No, yeah, you definitely have the moments. It's kind of like, you're gonna be busy. For me, for example, like around like 2 to 5, like that's for
Hmm.
sure. Like this is a good example for anybody. If you know you're busy at a certain time, like for me, it's like 2 to 5. That's when you know, like, okay, I need to eat before that time. Grub up, carb up, and and then you have enough time to survive till like after 5 or whenever. Because some jobs too, that you might get busier even past that, depending on how busy you are. So I mean, that's happened to me a few times, but like I always eat so much beforehand that it lasts me to like at least 7. I can eat dinner fine. So situations like that for other people too. Like if you know you're busy or you're gonna be busy like right when you clock in, you should definitely eat a bigger breakfast, for example, or just eat a snack right before you hop into work. I mean, is that for you too? Are you busy like the whole day, or you have those rush hours as well?
No, so I'm not. I don't have rushes. Being in sales, and I work with like small businesses, right? So all of the business owners that I'm trying to contact are like very much on the go. So they're either remote, they work in an office, or they're out doing in-person meetings just like me. So it's the kind of thing for me, I have to be a little bit more flexible in my schedule in that sense, where if you think about it, my job is to get a business owner on the phone or catch them in person, right? Not in a weird way. You know what I
Hey
mean. Like if I
yo.
drop by the business and they're like available, I want them to be available. I'm not trying to like kidnap anybody. I know that's sounding kind of sus,
Yeah, you
but
about to grab somebody up.
um so for me to be strategic about it, lunchtime is when I get a lot of people on the phone,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that's something where they're not working. They may be like at their desk, like doing administrative work or something like that. But since that's like a quote unquote busy time for me, knowing that I'm going to like make a lot of calls during that time, that's something where I've been flexible with my schedule to start eating lunch earlier. Like I eat lunch around like 11:15, 11:30. I don't typically take my full hour because I want to get on the phone and be able to call people when I know they're available. So that's a big tip there, is being flexible with your schedule, but going hand in hand with what Josh said. Eating is the priority. So if you know, oh, this is a busy time, we're going to get a rush. I'm going to be making a lot of calls. I'm going to have a lot of follow up to do, whatever it may be strategic about when you're eating. Because again, for me, being on a bulk, I eat a lot of meals throughout the course of the day. So this is something where I have to be strategic with when I'm taking my breaks. because it could be something as easy as like a meal prep that I'm heating up, or it could be something like if I know there's a night I'm going to work late, but I still have to cook like an entire meal for dinner. You know what I mean? I'm not going to plan on doing something where I have to be sitting at my computer. I'm going to plan on doing something where I can be back and forth, and it's not as like urgent for me to be sitting at my desk, where I can also be in the kitchen cooking the food, come back, check on whatever I'm doing here. So again, just being strategic about exactly like Josh said, when you're eating, but also what you're eating. Like, don't just eat shit and say, "Oh, I ate something, so that's a W." Like, no, eating bad food, as we talked about, will make you feel bad. Like Josh, I know
Yeah.
there's like a lot of stuff that can go pretty poorly in that regard.
Well, you also, yeah, definitely want to eat your healthy foods, because if you're eating like junk food, fast food, it's gonna really have you low energy throughout the day. But I was thinking, for like someone like you, for your job, like you'll be able to like maybe eat a big lunch, but maybe you can like snack between calls. Like maybe take a minute, and this can be in anybody. Like if you have time to like even just save your snacks for those rush hours to get you by. Like if your rush hour is really like a long period of time, you could just like hold a protein bar near you and just scruff it down like, a quick minute between your call and then get back to work, and not take a full break. So stuff like that too. It's you really want to hopefully some of you guys are like on a meal guide or something, or a meal plan, so like you can just move, you can see everything in front of you, like, oh, I need to eat this stuff throughout the day, and then you can figure out your best times.
Exactly. Yeah. And going with that too, in the idea of like eating to feel good, this is something I've been putting a lot of focus on for myself recently. And I urge all of my clients to do the same. Um, Eat foods that make you feel good and avoid foods that make you feel like shit. So for me recently, I've been slowly cutting dairy out of my diet because I feel like it was the kind of thing where, as you all know by now, I'm celiac, so I have a gluten allergy. If I eat gluten, I have a very extreme response. Where if I eat dairy, I feel like it's been just such like a normalized response that I didn't even like really think that it was an issue for a long time until recently, where I've been cutting it out and I've noticed that I've been feeling better because of it. So that's two in that idea, two things specifically. One, avoid foods that make you feel not good, and two, prioritize sleep, right? Because as a busy professional, sleep is one of the first things, in my opinion, next to nutrition, that's going to go out the window. um, Most people have magnesium and vitamin D deficiencies. So those are two supplements that I've been taking every night before bed. They help you get into, we've talked about this, similar to ashwagandha. They help you fall asleep, stay asleep, get into a deeper sleep. So when you get however long of sleep, ideally 6 to 8 hours,
Mm-hmm.
you wake up feeling more refreshed because it was a deeper sleep, because you're no longer falling victim to that deficiency.
Yeah, and you definitely say
So that's
harder
something I've
too.
noticed
Like with the muscles, bro, I feel my biceps are pumped.
when you sleep better.
No, with the ashwagandha.
Uh,
Yeah, I stay harder.
Dude, ashwagandha gets the blood flowing.
Yeah, it keeps the
Most
muscle pumped, dude. For
definitely.
sure. For sure.
Most definitely. You'll be pitching a tent when you wake up on
Yeah.
a morning after taking ashwagandha, I'll tell you that much.
But I did want to talk about the dairy part. Like, I feel like it's hit or miss for me too. It's definitely dependent on everybody. Like for me, I think it depends how much I have it. Like, I can get away with some. I don't know if you notice that too with yourself. Like, oh, if I maybe eat a little bit of the dairy, or drink a little bit, or however you're having it. Because me, I just have the yogurt. But if I have too much of it, like, then I kind of notice like, oh, I'm feeling more bloated and stuff like that. So I stick to like one a day. Um, but I mean, what do you think about that? Is that happening to you, or just every time you just have any kind of dairy, even the small amounts?
No, I would agree with what you said. It definitely is the kind of thing where I'm at right now, like I'm just completely trying to avoid it. and I've been doing a good job because I've mostly been working from home. Um, I went to my parents' place today, but it was like we ate food where it was tacos, right? So everybody kind of built their own taco, so I was able to
Damn, no
just like
invite. Shit,
ch- you
shit. I'm
don't
not.
like football,
I'm
bro.
not invited to the cookout.
You don't like football, bro.
Yo, man, could have come by for the tacos.
Um, no, but to my point, it was more like kind of like build your own plate, right? So it was the kind of thing where I could avoid the ingredients that I didn't want to add, namely cheese and sour cream. Um, and everything else I ate just like normal, right? So my
Mhm.
mindset around it is exactly what you said, where if I'm in a scenario where I have the option to eat something that has dairy in it or not eat, I'm going to eat the food with dairy because I'm prioritizing the calories because I'm on a bulk. So
Yeah.
that's me right now, situationally, is how I'm looking at it. But I do wholeheartedly agree with what you're saying. With gluten, it's like if I have the slightest little bit, I'm just out of commission. With the dairy, if I overdo it, I'm out of commission. If I only have like a little tiny bit, I'll notice it, but it's not anything that I'm going to be like fucked up from. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. It's like hit or miss for me too, man. Because sometimes I have my moments where one will get to me, and I kind of feel tired and then really bloated. But then there's other times where like, dude, I've cycled dairy. I cycled dairy more than someone's cycle. But yeah, I like it. The only thing I like about it is just eating Greek yogurt with it. I don't drink regular milk, but
I
but
found
yeah.
a pretty solid almond milk Greek yogurt. I think it's Silk. I could be wrong.
Oh,
Oh,
I don't think I've tried. I feel like I might have tried it once, but it could have been a long time ago. But I've tried a lot of
it's pretty
different.
good. It has like pretty much same macros as normal Greek yogurt and everything, just obviously dairy
Okay,
free.
I'll probably try when I stop by like a Target because I like how they sell those individual packs, so I can just try a sample or whatever. But
Yeah, no, that's the one I got. The only annoying thing is I buy a lot of them and they're like $2 each. So
well,
I'm trying to find on like Costco or something. I don't feel like Costco has the best allergy sensitive foods, but that's neither here nor there.
uh, you have to get lucky, honestly. But yeah, they have this like general one because that's where I buy the Oak Place. Because dude, I got like a shit ton right now because they were on sale for like $9 for like 18. So I stocked up. I said, "F it, dude. I'm gonna get blooded. At least I'm saving some money, dude, in this recession."
$1 bills, y'all.
Yeah,
Um,
but yeah, we should probably get to the next tip, right?
yeah, for sure. So that's what I was gonna say is like the physical part of your health, once you start prioritizing it, all of these issues that you've kind of just normalized over time, you'll notice will start to feel better, whether it's your stomach, whether it's your focus, whether you're less tired, things like that. These are all things that you'll notice will improve as you prioritize your own health. um, the next one, something we somewhat alluded to in the intro itself, is the actual workout, right? So this is something that we understand. There's very valid reasons to not be able to make it to the gym. I'm never gonna like shame one of my clients. I know Josh likes to think that I yell at all my clients, but
Yeah, that we
I'm never
roast our
gonna
clients,
shame.
dude. That we roast
I'm
them.
never gonna just straight roast, bro. I'm never gonna shame or roast one of my clients if they like give me a good excuse of like, hey, I got sick, or hey, I have like a super important business meeting, or I'm studying for this like big midterm, something like that. I'm never gonna like get mad at a client for like missing a gym or missing a session because they have something more important life wise going on. What does upset me is when people are just lazy and they just make the conscious decision to skip. But that's not what we're talking about. So,
Hmm.
outside of those valid reasons, there's a ton of ways that you can still get a workout in. It and again, it doesn't necessarily have to be at the gym. Well, let's start quickly by going over the gym. There's two main things that I would recommend if you're on a time crunch and you have like 30-45 minutes to go get a workout. I would say the two probably most efficient ways of going about that, one would be a HIIT workout, the high intensity interval training, or the other would be supersets.
Yeah, definitely the supersets are more. If you don't like doing those hit workouts, because I'm not really a hit person, but if I was in, this situation where I have 30 minutes to work out or less, supersetting, like you can definitely like this has been they've done like studies on this. Like, let's say I'm doing bicep curls, I can superset that with like shoulders as like you can superset it with anything really as long as it's a different type of muscle, and it doesn't affect like the bicep. It won't affect whatever you do previously. So let's say I do chest, I can do like shoulders, and it won't really I guess it kind of would affect it, but it won't be too bad. Like you're not affecting the muscle growth. Like you're giving it time to rest still, but you're also like supersetting and hitting your shoulders.
Exactly. I was actually going to make the point. There's two different ways you can superset. One is going to be non-related muscle groups, and the other is going to be related muscle groups. So, like Josh just said, you can do something like a leg workout and a shoulder workout that might,
Yeah.
like, unless you're doing like full body workouts. We've talked about this. That this all depends on your level of gym going.
Yeah, that'd
If
be
you're
really
doing full
intense.
body workouts and you're like on a time crunch, yeah, superset legs and shoulders. I would say the most common would be something like supersetting chest and tries, where you're doing a chest movement where secondarily you're going to be working your triceps. So your triceps are already slightly pre-fatigued going into that set, so you won't have to work them as hard. You won't have to do as many sets. You won't have to do as much volume. Long story short, you won't have to be in the gym for physically as long as if you were doing those exercises separate. You can, and I would only really recommend this as a burnout, like the last exercise you do. You can superset two exercises within the same muscle group. Like I know one thing that like a great arm day burnout is doing like normal curls, go until failure. Once you get to failure, you switch your grip and you start doing hammer curls.
Mm-hmm. Or
So again, you're going to burn the fuck out of your bicep. You're going to get a sick pump, but you're only really going to need to do like one set of that, which is going to save you a ton of time instead of having to do like 3, 4, 5 sets of like 15 to 20 reps. That's going to take a long ass time, or at least for me, when you have a full
mm.
conversation in between sets every time.
Well, even drop sets too. The conversations, yeah, that's also a time consumer. But I would say also just doing drop sets at the end of the workouts. Even the way I was saying it, like the last set, like you should definitely just do a burnout. Like no
Mm-hmm.
matter what, if you're on a time crunch, you should definitely just add that caveat to like any muscle group that you're doing, and then also just doing the drop set, either switching the hand movements like you said, or just dropping the weight down.
Yep, exactly. And there's, I mean, so many different like technical variations of things like we talked about in the deep dive episodes. Um, you can really do a variation of pretty much any exercise to work a slightly different part of that muscle group. So that's something too that when you're burning out, you can easily just work different parts of the muscle group and still get the overall muscle breakdown, rebuild, and growth.
Yeah,
Um,
I think the key to this too is like just doing like a minute rest time, because if you're in a time crunch like this and you're trying to hit like two muscle groups, you gotta do like rest time for like a minute or 90 seconds.
for sure,
Yeah.
and that's something I know. One of our further points is technology, and so that's something I know the rest times will go into that too. But
Mm.
on the workout side of things, so again, the other two options, one is hit, which if you're not familiar with what a hit workout is, it's essentially a circuit workout. Um, you are somewhat marrying weights and cardio.
Yeah.
So it's not quite like CrossFit in the sense where you're trying to lift the weight as fast as possible. It's more like you do something as many times as you can in a controlled manner. You're not just like flailing the weight around like CrossFit. You do it as many times in a controlled manner as you can in 1 minute, and then you move on to the next station.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a similar idea to the superset, except it's more of like a circuit where you're doing like 4 or 5 things 2, maybe 3 times, and that's your whole workout.
Yeah, I'm honestly not too familiar with hit workouts. I know the general idea to it, but I wouldn't be able to program somebody a really hit workout properly.
No,
Yeah.
that's something I a few years ago I went to a few hit classes just to see because it was kind of like blowing up at that time. It was the kind of thing as someone who was more inclined to lifting weights, being able to rest and then putting my all into the next set. I felt better lifting weight. I also had the time to be able to rest for a proper amount of time and then work up to like my top set and things like that. So again, it was a little different for me, but as me personally, someone who is more inclined to lifting weights, not as much inclined to cardio. Like I had to trick myself to do cardio by playing basketball. So it was the kind of thing like for me the hit workout wasn't enough of a trick for my brain to be like, okay, we enjoy this kind of cardio, you know? So it's just like it wasn't for me.
I
But I see the value of it if you're on a time crunch. I'm not like completely throwing it out the door.
I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like a hit kind of workout is for like people that want to stay lean, but they know, but they don't really like to do workouts like building muscle as much. But they know it's important, so they kind of mix it with it, with it. But they rather stay lean.
Um yeah, so I would agree with that where there's probably definitely a general demographic of oh, I don't want to build muscle and be bulky. So if I work out in a hit style of way, or it could be people similar to me who don't like cardio. I know a lot of people who did it because it had muscle building movements. There's no doubt that it has like muscle building movements. People get results from it. It's just kind of marrying the weightlifting muscle building with the cardio fat burning. So you're just doing both at the same time. So it's one of those things. Think about it like this. Um,
Think about
a
this.
lot of people, they get thrown off track of their progress because they want to bulk and look huge, but they want to cut and be lean as fuck. And they can't make a decision and commit to one or the other. So they just flounder in the middle and they end up making no gains.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think of if I think of someone doing too much hit, where I think this is probably to your point, this is probably what they want. But at a certain point, the cardiovascular benefit and the fat burning is going to overtake the muscle building because my assumption, this is 100% an assumption. I have no statistics to back this. My assumption is that you're probably burning a pretty significant amount of calories. And if you're not replacing those calories and you're not prioritizing protein, you're going to be one of those people who, yeah, you lose weight, but you're not really going to build muscle. And then a lot of those people end up getting like that, like flabby look almost, you know, because their skin is still loose, even though they've lost all the fat. They didn't replace it with muscle to keep their physique more, I guess, like trimmed down in
Mm-hmm.
that sense.
You know what? It's also one of the things that was hard to track because at least on a cardio machine, you can have a gauge of like what the calories say. I know it's not 100% accurate. You're just kind of gauging it. But like even having a tracker, I know we're going to talk about like apps that you can use. Like I know most of them they track it by the heartbeat or the steps, but I don't know how accurate this. Well, you're definitely not gonna be able to track with the steps because most of it's just stationary stuff. You're not really moving as much, but with the heartbeat, at least that can track it. But it's also not 100% accurate. Like you need something like that to even track the calories. But I was gonna say that I think I definitely see your point where you said that people are doing this because they don't like doing cardio, but I also think people don't like doing cardio. Well, for one, it is kind of tedious and it kind of annoying, but I think it hurts a lot of people's joints when they start doing like certain machines hurt your joints like straight up running. Like people don't like to run because they say a lot of people say it hurts their knees and stuff like that. And maybe doing hit would be better, or just walking on an incline. I'm trying to think of what else people say. I think people say the stairmaster hurts too. Some people say that, but I'm trying to think about.
Really?
It doesn't for me. Doesn't really for me, but I've heard other people say that. It's more like these intense workouts where like it takes your it does take a toll on your legs and knees on some of them.
It mostly just hurts my pride and ego, to be honest. But
Mm, that's pretty serious too.
well, I think with all of that in mind, the cardio aspect kind of segues into the next point I want to make is there is a third option, right? If you're in the gym, you can do weights and superset like we talked about. You can do hit. You can kind of do hit anywhere if you have like weights, and like a lot of it is body weight too, which goes into my next point that you can do a lot of stuff pretty much anywhere, right? So even like doing body weight exercises for 15, 20 minutes a day, like it's if you do that one day out of the week, that's going to be enough stimulus for your muscles to at the very least maintain, right? Like you're not going to pare down any muscle, you're not going to get any muscle atrophy just because you were doing body weight. Obviously, over a longer period of time, yeah, that's something that could have an effect on your muscle density and things like that. But that's something that my point is, if you're on a pretty regular gym or exercise, we should call it for this segment, a pretty regular exercise regimen, and there's just that one day where someone schedules a meeting over lunch and now you're not going to be able to work out like you planned on it, you can still do something at home for like 15, 20 minutes, whether it's body weight, whether it's taking a walk, whether you have weights like light dumbbells that you can do, whether it's just like shit. I used to do curls with like gallons of milk, bro. I'm not gonna
Damn,
lie, those were great for hammer curls.
great
I'll be
pumps.
straight up, bro. So it is the kind of thing. I did actually do that. That I wouldn't like super recommend it, but that was kind of like me being at like my plan Z. Like that was my last resort. It was either I did that or I did nothing. So doing that was better than doing nothing, which is the point of what I'm trying to convey here. Doing something, if you get up from your desk and you do 15 jumping jacks, that's 15 jumping jacks more than if you didn't get up from your desk and do 15 jumping jacks. So again,
Mm,
it's not going to have some crazy cardiovascular long-term benefit, but in that exact moment in time, it's going to be enough to get the blood pumping to be able to carry you over into whatever the next thing that it is that you need to do.
damn, bars, bars. No, yeah, definitely something's better than nothing. I mean, I personally, I would prioritize like doing something active like burpees, stuff like that. Um, you could. This would probably be really weird, but like if your building or office building had like stairs, you could just like run up real quick and run back down.
Yeah,
Yeah, stuff like that, like little things like that, like can make a difference. Or like you just walk running real quick to your car, whatever your parking lot's at. Like after you hop out the door, just like sprint to your car. Like little things like that. Like that's kind of, I wouldn't say that's neat training, but it's a little bit more than that. But like neat training is another thing that you can use for the office. Like shaking your leg, tapping. That's like little active stuff that burns a little bit of calories. Like you said, something's better than nothing.
exactly. And I know there's a few well-known sources that all your body really needs to be able to like be considered active is like 15 minutes a day. So I know there's some people that even they build an entire program working out for 15 20 minutes a day, probably 4 to 6 times a week, strictly using bands.
Okay.
And it's like these people report that not only are they maintaining muscle, but they're building muscle and shredding fat. So they're very successfully recomping
Mm-hmm.
with only 15 to 20 minutes a day doing band exercises. So again, it's the kind of thing that the studies are out there. You don't need to be in the gym. And this is me, the pot, calling the kettle black. I understand this, but you don't need to be in the gym for 3 hours a day to be seeing progress.
Yeah. I would say the only way you can get away with that too if you're like younger because it takes a lot of recovery to even survive a 3 hour workout too like that, or you got to be on a cycle, you know, to even do workouts like that, because you're just like overworking your muscles. But like I would say I would say a fair warning is like those bands do keep me, they honestly keep me kind of scared, dude, because I don't know if, like, depending on where you put them, like you got to be careful where you put them because like you've seen those fail videos where like they just snap back in someone's face, and you don't want that happening to you.
Yeah, but that's
Yeah.
like the girls doing like the assisted pull up. It's like you're just asking for trouble.
I don't know how true it is.
You're asking for trouble.
I don't know how true it is because I mean this person's been lying a lot, but apparently that what's it called, the Liver King, he was doing a band warm up and it snapped and it went to his eye. And I don't know if you've seen he's been having an eye patch, but
Yeah,
apparently
I saw
yeah.
that. That's hilarious.
Yeah, apparently that's because a band went to his eye, like slapped his eye.
I
I
mean,
mean,
I don't believe him. I don't believe him. I'm just throwing that out there.
but it is a possibility. Like, imagine it actually. Well, like not be for his scenario. Like, imagine you're warming up with a band or something, and it just goes straight to your eye. Like, oh, I could see it like actually hurting your eye a lot, dude. Have some serious issues afterwards.
For sure, yeah. So if you do these band workouts, be careful is the moral of the story.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Long story short, the point we're conveying here, there are movements that you can incorporate throughout the day, um, no matter what your schedule may be. Um, if you know you have like a super busy day, like I'm usually pretty busy on Fridays. So for me, again, being strategic, I worked with my coach and my rest day is now on Friday. So I can prioritize being at work because I know that's my day and I'm not going to have my busy day and I'm not going to have that extra added stress of if shit gets too busy, I'm not going to be able to go to the gym and then I'm going to feel guilty about skipping the gym and it's like a whole big thing. So that's the kind of thing where on Fridays I try to do a little bit more of like active rest where I go for a walk in the morning. I try to stand up more. Like I know a lot of people have standing desks. I know even a lot of people have. Josh, have you seen like the treadmill desk thing?
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's not like I seen some that are connected, but like anybody could just buy one of those walking treadmills and then just put it underneath your desk or whatever. But
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
So I think it's a combination of the treadmill and a standing desk. I don't know if they sell them together or if someone just had the idea. If no one sells them together, I might copyright and patent this. But
honestly,
it is.
depending how big your setup is, I mean, I'll be kind of scared to do this myself. Because, but like if you don't have the money for it, I mean, because one of those treadmills is pretty expensive. I've looked them up before. They're like $300 or more at least, like starting. And if you're like on a budget or whatever, you could just for your standing def, because the standing def is pretty expensive too, right? Somewhat. You could just put your stuff on books and try it out. See if you even like the setup too, because I think that's another thing too. Is like you might not even like the setup of the standing desk, right? And
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
but that's anything. That's anything that you kind of want to try before you buy, especially if it's that much of an investment. But the moral of the story there is like
but you can't.
just because you sit at a desk all day isn't an excuse to sit at a desk all day.
Yeah,
There's plenty of ways that you're going to be able to get movement in throughout the day, whether it is a full-blown workout or whether it's small movements incorporated throughout the course of the day that essentially add up to burning the calories of getting you where you want to be.
yeah. Well, I was gonna say too, like the best investment is to buy one of those treadmills just for home. Like if you can put it somewhere else, not be underneath your desk. Because if you're really on such a time crunch where you can't even get to the gym, because you got to think about it too like this, like depending how far your gym is, it takes you time to like drive to the gym. If you're closest one, you still got to think about like, oh, maybe it's a 10-minute drive. I got to drive there, park, walk inside and then drive back and all this stuff. If you have like a treadmill or something at home, it's just like you get out of bed and just, start running. I mean, you could just run outside too, but either or.
Exactly. But again, like you said, if it's something that you're gonna spend that much money on, like you better use it. Like I know people that they invested in like a Peloton, for example, and like our whole group chat, like we just roast our one friend because his Peloton just like
This is
literally gathers dust.
yeah.
Like it's just like an expensive ass paperweight at that point.
Mhm. Yeah,
But so
definitely
again,
use it.
if you're gonna make those investments, use it,
Mhm.
but don't feel obligated to make an investment unless you feel like it's something that is going to allow you to make those move to incorporate those movements throughout the day, where if you feel like there's something else you can be doing, go ahead and do that. So this is one of those things, again, it's going to be person by person. Find what works for you and run with that until you feel like you need to make a tweak. um,
Mhm.
with that, a similar idea is going to be meal prep. This is going to be huge for, in my opinion, anyone and everyone. But of course, for our topic today specifically, especially when you're busy, um, this is something. Josh, do you cook meal prep? Do you buy a meal prep? Do you meal prep at all, or do you just cook as you go?
No, I definitely can't do cook as I go. I've done that before. Oh my god, it's too stressful, dude. It's way too stressful. And that was before going to zoo, because like zoo is such a longer drive now. This is like before just going to LA Finish, which is a little bit closer, and earlier
And open
too.
earlier,
Yeah,
yeah,
and open earlier too. And I was still like, yeah, it was too time consuming to like try to cook before, and it was too stressful. So, I definitely do it on my rest days or my off days. Cook,
you meal prep.
eat, yeah, either or. Like on my
Okay.
rest days, yeah, meal prep. And I think the hack to this too is because like some people, it was either if you have the money, buy a prep service, but if you don't, I think the hack to this to go to Trader Joe's and just and buy, or anywhere too where they have like seasoned already meats, and
Hmm.
you could just toss that in the air fryer, leave it in there, do whatever you got to do, because it's kind of like having it's like a microwave that cooks in a way, because all you gotta do is kind of check on it here and there, like every like 10 minutes, and flip it over, and then you're ready. But yeah, that's how I do it. Do it on your off days, and it saves you a lot more time throughout the week.
For sure. I actually used to cook the meal prep myself too. I guess a meal prep hack that I found. I use the slow cooker, like the crock pot.
Hmm.
And what I would do is I would take the chicken and I would season it with just salt and pepper, because I'm the kind of person, like personally, I could eat the same thing every single day. Like for me, my relationship with food is a means to an end, right? Food is fuel. Calories will help me gain weight. Gaining weight will get me stronger. My goal right now is to be stronger, right? It's a pretty linear progression there. Um, so for me, it's the kind of thing that people ask me all the time, like, oh, how do you eat the same thing every day? Where sometimes, yeah, I would. But what I found a little hack is I would use the slow cooker. I would season the chicken with just salt and pepper and cook it. And so I have cooked chicken with just seasoned with salt and pepper. Salt and pepper is going to go with solid 85 to 95% of the meals that I would be cooking. So that's the kind of thing where even though I was technically eating chicken and rice for 2 meals a day, I was eating them in a different enough way that the redundancy didn't drive me crazy, right? So like one day I could have like a chicken taco bowl, and then I could have like chicken parm, and then there was just so many different ways that I could make the chicken and rice that it would never get boring.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I think a hack for sure is definitely have a arsenal of seasoning at home, and that's how I get by too, eating the same things. Because usually I just eat chicken all the time, and the way that it helps me get through, like, cause I'm the same way. I can eat the same shit every day, pretty much, even the same seasoning for a good while. But to switch it up and like, have a little bit of change, I change the seasoning up too. Or if I really want some change, I'll go buy like a few pieces of like tilapia to have like a different meat, but it's
ooh,
still it's still healthier.
little
Little,
white fish
yeah.
for you.
If I want to be a little fancier, gotta get that salmon.
Oh,
Yeah,
fancy.
yeah.
Forget everything but fine dining and breathing.
But I think that the the pro to eating the same thing too is a lot easier to track your macros, because if you track everything one day, and then let's say everything you eat that day measured perfectly is like 2,000 calories, and you're hitting your goal, like whatever that goal might be, you can just eat the same thing every day. You don't really need to track it because you're tracking it by the measurements, right? So
Yep.
it's a little bit like a hack too. It's just a lot of peace of mind to like counting, because I won't lie, counting macros does get pretty annoying after a while, especially changing it up like all the time. You're eating different things. You gotta search to like all these like other options, because MyFitnessPal sometimes does have a lot of options, especially if you eat out. Like they have like multiple of the same options, which is kind of annoying.
Hey, yo.
Yeah. So so I kind of like eating the same thing because it's just easier to track, man.
Well, that's why that's a point I'm very happy you brought up. I'm sure you saw me smiling ear to ear as you were talking about tracking macros.
Yeah.
Um, One thing that in my opinion very much goes hand in hand with meal prep. This is honestly, I would say, where a vast majority of people fall off or get deterred from their goals without even realizing they're doing it to themselves, is snacking throughout the day, right? So, like, I'll use myself as an example. I eat generally the same thing day in and day out. The only thing that really changes for me is how much I eat, depending on how I feel that day. Um, so it's the kind of thing where if there's a day that like I go into the office instead of working from home, like obviously my eating schedule is going to be kind of thrown off there. That's the kind of thing where it's the snacking that really gets you, because you're like, oh, like one bag of chips isn't going to kill me. I don't need to track this. But then you look at the macros on the bag of chips and it's like 12 grams of fat, like 150 calories. And like, again, for me, someone who's bulking, that's not like the biggest deal. But if you're on a cut, or like if you're on prep for something where you need to be like a specific weight, that 12 grams of fat can make your body react in a certain way. Those 150 calories can put you over where you need to be and really throw off that progress that you've been making all week. And it's the kind of thing I feel like what most people do, it's not one bag of chips. It's like you have a big bag of chips, or like a big bag of nuts, or like a big bag of candy, right? And you stick your hand in like the fucking crane game, and you just fucking shove them all down your throat. You didn't weigh it. You don't know how many of those you just ate. You're probably not going to fucking track it either. Let's get serious. So that's the kind of thing where like it's almost like ghost macros, right? Because you probably didn't track it, because I know you didn't weigh it. So in your mind, when you look at your macros and like you see like why you didn't lose weight this week, it's not even going to show up. So you're not even going to have the indication of, oh, this is where I messed up. Next time I need to snack less, because it's just not even going to be in there. So it's the kind of thing you need to be super careful throughout the day. The biggest tip that I can have, again, especially someone working from home, it's kind of twofold. Keep healthy snacks wherever you are, whether it's at your desk, when you're home. If there is some barrier of entry. Like if you have to drive to the store to buy a candy bar or a bag of chips, there is some barrier of entry for you to get this unhealthy snack. It's going to be a lot more difficult psychologically for you to justify eating that food as opposed to just eating the yogurt or the fruit that you have in the fridge that's already at your place that's a stone's throw away.
Hmm. I think the reason two people snack is this is kind of like a hack too. Is they're actually dehydrated. You need to like at least chug. You need to have like a big gallon like that, or a gallon next to
Perfect
you.
timing.
Yeah, exactly. Because most of the time you're actually just dehydrated, and like if you just let's say you drink a shit ton of water like from a gallon, you're like chugging it, and let's say you're still hungry. Okay, maybe you should eat a little bit, but if you feel satisfied from drinking that water, then you were just dehydrated, and you need to drink more water. But I
Yep,
definitely agree.
exactly.
I definitely agree with your whole point about like the big bags and stuff like that, or like the big jar of nuts. Like yeah, you're definitely not measuring that, and it's definitely you definitely want to stick with the smaller quantities if you're
Do
just
you
gonna.
measure your nuts, Josh?
Yeah, I gotta man. Do a little nut like that, dude. It's like 200 calories, bro. At least that's a lot.
Just a little nut.
Yeah, yeah.
Just takes one little nut, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Yeah, but with your point, I'll grow up. Um, with your point, I think that was spot on with the water. Um, a lot of people when they first sign on with like a personal trainer or something, and they do that like evaluation, like let's go through your food diary. How much water are you drinking every day? The vast majority of people are under consuming water. So it's the kind of thing where, like you said, a lot of them are dehydrated, and instead of drinking water, they drink coffee, which caffeine dehydrates you even more. Caffeine also speeds up your metabolism, so whatever you've eaten digests super quickly, and then you're hungry again, and you're like, oh man, I just ate a whole meal that I had to cook or I worked hard to meal prep. You're not going to be as apt to make a healthy decision in that scenario where you're hungry, you're dehydrated, you're probably a little lazy, and there's the possibility that you don't have a healthy option because you already went in on whatever your meal prep was, and then you drank coffee, you digested it, and now you're hungry again. So you're kind of just like double shit out of luck in that sense. So long story short there, drink more water, get good sleep, and it'll help you with those cravings. So when you do actually eat your meal prep, it'll last a lot longer throughout the course of the day of keeping you satiated and satisfied. Speaking of nuts.
Okay. All right. That's like
um,
fire tips. Fire tips.
for sure. So
Yeah.
I think that probably works perfectly into our last tip. Um, is going to be the technology. So there's a lot of things that we've referenced already. I would say the vast majority of them, correct me if I'm wrong, are around tracking.
You're
But
wrong. It's about tracking.
no, bro, we're talking about tracking,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
not tracking.
We're talking about tracking.
Okay, cool. We're on the same page. Um, so a lot of these tips or a lot of this technology is around tracking, but tracking in a lot of different senses of the word. So we've obviously, not to beat a dead horse, but we've talked about tracking your macros and the importance of tracking your macros. So I'm not going to go too deep into that. Um, a couple apps that I would shout out for that. I know Josh has MyFitnessPal. Do you have the premium version or the regular?
No, regular. There's a hack to
Okay.
like be able to scan it. I'm able to still scan my stuff on there. You know how you can scan the barcode?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So
because
that was only a premium feature?
it is only a premium feature, but like I hacked the system. I hacked the mainframe. But no, oh, really like
The
there's like
Matrix.
there was a hack that I saw on TikTok where you had to change your location to the United Kingdom and you could still scan the bar, and that's what I did, and I can still scan the bars.
It's Tuesday, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm going by pounds over there, dude,
There
and
you go.
kgs.
KGs, baby. That's what my life is. All KGs, bro.
Yeah,
Um,
but I don't, it's kind of weird. Like I've heard some people it doesn't work, but for me it worked out. But like I know it is really lame that they make you pay for it because it's so convenient. Or maybe you could find a different app that you can just scan the barcode, but it's just so much better like that. I mean, you just have to type it out, but it's a lot time a time saver for sure.
yeah. So what I was gonna say, twofold answer to that. Getting the MyFitnessPal premium. When I had MyFitnessPal, it wasn't premium to scan, so that's news to me. So that's obviously something to take into consideration. Um, if Josh's United Kingdom hack works, kudos.
Mhm.
We might get famous so going viral on a TikTok on that one. But um, on the other side, I had the premium,
Oh
even
shit, you.
as even as someone who I took my macros very seriously. It When you have the premium, I would say the main difference, other than obviously the scan, which like I mentioned, news to me, the main difference is you're gonna get the micronutrients as well. So you'll be able to see things like sugar, sodium, so on and so forth, fiber even. Um, so
Do you
that's the kind of thing.
wait? Do you mean on like the food? Because you can still see the fiber and the sugar on your own personal macronutrients. Because
Okay,
but you
maybe
but
they changed it since I had it.
But I know
That might be out of
I
date.
I know you can't see it like because you know when you check your own macros and stuff like that, you want to you know how you see your protein and carbs for your own, like how much you ate throughout the day. It shows your sugar too and the sodium. But I know what you're saying about like it doesn't show it on the actual food. Like let's say I look up like the like a Gatorade or something, it won't show. It will just show like the basic fats, carbs, and protein, but it won't show those micronutrients on like the product.
Okay, it'll show each. No, no, no. Sorry, it'll show your total, but it won't show like per item.
Yeah, exactly. Like you'll be able to see your own total of your nutrients, but you won't be able to see on the product. I'm sure you probably I think you are right about like the super micronutrients like the vitamins. I think those you can't see of your own. I could be wrong too. But I know you can see like the main basic stuff like the fiber, sugar, and the sodium for sure.
Gotcha. Okay, so that's something my experience with MyFitnessPal might be a little outdated, but um, in reality, it seems like the main difference between the premium and the free version is the ability to scan. Um, I was very, very like detail oriented about my calories and things like that. So that was something that like I never did a bodybuilding show or anything like that. I didn't even feel the need to have all of that information about like my sodium and stuff. Like I didn't even really feel like I needed that available to me. So that was something that in my opinion the premium just wasn't worth it. Um the scan is definitely a game changer. There is a free app. It's called MyPlate. It's all one word,
Oh,
MyPlate.
it's a hack.
This one you can scan. It's a little more manual in the setup of like your goals. So when you're first getting started with the app, it's a little bit more of a manual setup of like having it track your goals for your calories and your macros, fats, carbs, proteins. But once you get it set up, it saves all the food, which I'm pretty sure MyFitnessPal does that too. But again, you'll be able to have the scan feature for free. And then once you get into like a routine of eating pretty much the same foods every day, you're going to be able to easily just say like this is what I had for breakfast. Honestly, I'm to the point where I eat the same food so consistently for so long, I don't even need to track anymore because
Hmm.
I just know if I ate all of my meals, this is how many calories I had. This is how many macros I had. So again, it's kind of like the key to open the door, but once you're in the door, it's all about you using that information to optimize your progress.
Yeah, exactly. Like you only have to track it for like a week or so. If you just eat the same thing, you're fine. It's not like
I
a
mean, it
yeah.
depends how long it takes you to remember.
Yeah, exactly. But it's not something like it's like lifetime, you know? That people I think a lot of
Yeah, no,
people get in their mind that it's like they think it's lifetime, like, oh, I'm stuck doing this for forever, but it's really not.
no, the only time that it would be like that, and again, this probably isn't going to be really the demographic that's targeting in this episode, would be like a bodybuilder on prep.
I think
Like
too.
Like C-Bum, I know
Yeah.
for a fact C-Bum tracks his macros 365. He obviously would be tracking a lot closer now. He's on peak week than he would be 2 weeks ago, 2 months ago, 6 months ago, off season, right? But to some form or extent, he is tracking his calories throughout the entire year. And then obviously, as he gets closer to a show, he gets that much more detailed in it because one little thing can just absolutely destroy his look on stage. Where for a busy young professional or school goer, a student, that's something that you probably don't need to be. Probably, you definitely don't need to be as detail oriented about your macros as Chris Bumstead is on peak week leading up to the Mr. Olympia competition for the best physique in the world.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Word. And then with the idea of tracking, these two kind of go hand in hand. I've used a couple different apps. I can't remember honestly. I haven't used them for a while since I started working with Coach, and I track everything in an Excel. But there are apps that you can input all of your workouts and your desired rest times, so you can keep track of how many sets you did, how much weight you did, what exercises you did, and then to have it say, okay, I input this set. I want to rest for 45 seconds. Start the timer. And then it starts the timer. You probably have your music in your ears. It sets off something in your ears where it like stops your music and it's like, get your ass over there and go do your next set, which is like the kind of reinforcement I need. But it could be nicer if you like more positive reinforcement.
Yeah, no, definitely. You're definitely right because I use one too, but it's like the one I use for my clients. I use it for myself. I had myself as a client and I have myself as a coach. So it's kind of cool because then you just do all the workouts, whatever you plan on doing, and it has like you said, the set timer and alarm, and it's definitely a game changer for sure on your workouts. The pumps are different.
Is this an app? Can you drop the name of it, or do they have to be on the Reckless program to sign a
Yeah, I'm
contract?
gonna gatekeep it, dude, for sure. I'll tell you if you want to really know off air, but I'm definitely gonna gatekeep it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Text me, bro. Nah, I'm
Yeah,
playing.
yeah.
No, like I said, I work with Andrew, and obviously he sends me like we have a shared Microsoft Excel document that I literally just like fill in as I go. And then for me, obviously a little different on like the powerlifting style of training. I rest a little shorter during my warm-ups, and then as I'm getting into like my last 2 or 3 sets working into my top set, I'll start resting a little longer. Just depending on what my intensity of the day is, I would say anywhere from like 6 to 10 minutes. Like if it's like a super heavy day, I'm gonna give myself as much rest as possible. But again, that's the powerlifting mindset specifically. Um, and then other than that, the only other thing on the tracking side of things I feel like could be helpful is going to be like anything that you can just kind of like wear it and forget about it, right? So like an Apple Watch, a Fitbit. I know they have there's a lot of like rings. Like I think one is called like an Aura ring,
Yeah, yeah. That's like the OG.
things
That's a
like
good one,
that.
dude. Yeah.
So there's so many different things that you can track, whether it's steps, heart rate, how long you slept, how deep of a sleep you got, right? There's so much data available out there. As you can probably tell, I'm a very data analytical person. So that's the kind of thing like when I first started working out, I was the kind of person that I wore my Apple Watch. I always set start working out so I could know how long I worked out for, what my heart rate was. But I was also the person that was like too OCD about it, where like if I ever had a day where I forgot to track the workout, I would be like disappointed. I would be like down. I'd be like, ah, fuck, like I really fucked that up. Like I can't believe I would do
You
that.
did fuck
When
it
in
up.
reality, I worked out. I should have felt good about myself. You know what I mean? So again, keep all of that tracking with a grain of salt. Don't drive yourself crazy, but the data is out there for you to collect and interpret, or work with a professional to interpret. Do you use any of those, Josh, or do you have anything else that I missed?
No, because but I definitely would recommend that though too. The only one I use is just to track my steps, but I know I should get on that level where you check. I do want to at least track my, like, if I was to pick one, I would pick tracking my sleep over tracking my steps and stuff like that. Like I'm more, for me, I prioritize my sleep more, and I rather try to get better sleep for myself. That's where I'm at though. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. I
Yeah.
agree with that. And again, that's why I mentioned I started taking magnesium and vitamin D before bed. If that was something that I didn't really see any results from, which I am seeing results from, I'm happy. If I didn't see those results, it's definitely something that I would look into one of those like Aura rings or something like that. The only thing about the tracking that I will say, um, take with a grain of salt. If you have a Fitbit or something that's constantly on your person, this does not apply to you. If you look at your steps on your phone, so I used to have, I technically have an Apple Watch, I just don't wear it anymore. I never really wore a Fitbit or anything that would just like always be on me. So now every once in a while, I'll look at my phone because your phone tracks your steps, and I'll see if I had a high step day, a low step day, whatever it may be. But time to really listen to what I'm about to say.
Land the plane.
It's it's not going to be accurate completely because it's basing off the assumption that the phone was just in your pocket tracking your steps, where for me, like my phone is just like on my desk right now. So if I got up and started walking around, my phone wouldn't be tracking those steps. So what I do, what I use it for, is I just use it to track the length of a walk I go on,
Mhm.
right? Because I know I'm going to get probably a decent like 3 to 5 thousand steps over the course of the day. So if I can get another 3 to 5 out of a walk, then I know that's a pretty solid day of like 8 to 10,000 steps. Where that might even be a little high for me, with as someone with a fast metabolism trying to gain weight. That sounds a little high. So I don't think it's that quite that high. My math is probably off, but that goes to the point where the iPhone step tracking isn't always going to be the most accurate.
Yeah, yeah.
Plane landed
Yeah, nice. You
eventually.
good landing, dude. That was a good landing. But no, I definitely agree, and I think you just need three apps. One for food, one for like workouts, and one for like these other stats, your body stats, and that's all you need. To
Yep,
like stay on
and
point.
like you said too, the food one, you only really need it for a certain amount of time until you just get into the point where you just know.
Yeah, the workout ones, that one's for sure gonna be there on your arsenal forever, unless you just take a day where you just do whatever you want. Uh, and then the mood one, or like your body stats, that one's kind of niche, I guess, but it's definitely important. I definitely won't say it's not important.
Yeah, that I feel like that one's probably a little more nice, not necessary. Like you can use that information to help yourself get to the next level, but if you're someone who's just starting out and you don't have access to that information, it's not like it's gonna
It's not gonna kill
make it so
you.
you're not gonna be able to make any progress because you don't know
Yeah.
how many hours you were in REM sleep compared to normal sleep compared to blah blah blah.
Yeah, the food one's definitely the most important one. Like that one will hinder your workouts a good amount for sure.
For sure, because even like, yeah, you want to track your exercises and how much weight you did and all that,
But you can get
but
away. Yeah, you get the straight harder
you
than
you
last time.
can. Yeah, oh, you stole my line, bro. I
Let's
was gonna
go,
say
baby.
that.
Let's go. Straight harder than
Damn
last
it,
time, dude.
bruh. Damn it, bruh. All right. Well, I think we talked a decent amount about if you're someone like us that is on a busy schedule, like we both work full-time jobs, we both have clients, whether they're online or in person. We post a bunch of content, which people who don't post content probably don't know how time consuming that is. And obviously staying on top of the podcast. Um, and working out 6 days a week, staying on top of our nutrition and sleep and all of that. So no one really understands better than us what it's like to be a busy professional, having to stay on top of all of this stuff. I guess my biggest advice before I toss it all over to Josh for any closing thoughts, my biggest piece of advice is don't half ass two things, whole ass one thing. So either fully commit to your job, fully commit to school, or fully commit to your health because you're not going to be able to do 50% for both. It's something that if you prioritize your health, I guarantee you'll notice everything else fall into place. Where if you prioritize school or work, you'll notice your health slowly start to deteriorate.
Yeah,
That's all I got.
I would say, there's definitely no excuse to where you can't even, go outside to your street and like do a run around the block. I definitely don't think anybody can make that excuse and say like I can understand maybe if you're super busy with school or work that you can't go to the gym, but at least you can walk outside and then do a quick jog around the block. Like there's no way you can't do that at least. Like that's the bare minimum. That's the bottom, you know. Of course get your diet on point, for sure. That's a minimum too. But I like if I was so busy where I couldn't even go to the gym, I would at least like go outside and walk so I'm not fat.
Dude, if I was too busy to go to the gym, I would have to do something. Otherwise, I would lose my mind.
Yeah, even on my rest days, I still go just do cardio. Like I don't like just to be at home still. Even as
For sure.
yeah, yeah,
Well, we're built different, so.
yeah, we're different. But yeah, I mean that was a great pod.
All right, awesome. Well, with that, probably a solid place to close it out. So, thank you as always for tuning in. You probably know by now, but may need a little refresher from our hiatus that we
Mm-hmm.
drop new episodes every Thursday morning. It's going to be on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure to like, comment, follow, and subscribe. However, you're watching or listening today, we appreciate your support. I'm Mike.
And I'm Josh.
Make sure to keep making those sweet gains and keep living life unracked, baby.
And like the
Let's
fucking
go.
video.